What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video, and in this one we're looking at transfer tips ahead of FPL Game Week 36. So analysing the transfer market, see which players are already being bought quite heavily, sold quite heavily, and basically deciding, are people making a mistake? Is there other players to think about? Should we be keeping the players we're selling, etc, etc? If you enjoy it, please do give it a like, hit that subscribe button. Let's jump into it. Calvert-Lewin, let's start off with him. I think he might have been on the video last week as well. It's kind of funny because I talked about him on the watch list in Game Week 34, and I mentioned that he had Villa, then a double game week probably, and then Sheffield United at home, and those fixtures looked great, and it was a good time to bring him in potentially. And then a few people like, oh, he's only scored like, what was it, 3 in 10 or 1 in 10 or something like that. I got the comments like, what is Andy smoking, etc. Then he scored against Villa, he scored against West Ham, he's still got a game to play in 35, which I obviously don't know at the time recording whether he's going to score in that one, but it is Aston Villa again, so there's potential for that. Then it's Sheffield United at home. So he looks like a pretty good buy, and obviously because he's been scoring now recently, people are looking at him. The funny thing is, in 34 I thought he was a really good buy, or definitely someone to consider. Now I'm not so sure. Now, the reason for that is Man City away in Game Week 38. So I'm not saying for anyone not to buy him for Sheffield United, because that is probably the best fixture you can get right now in the whole league. So yeah, this week I think he'll do absolutely well. You could even look at him at captaincy if you wanted to. If you didn't want to go for Liverpool players, Man City players, obviously Man United are blanking. You could potentially look at Calvert-Lewin as an outside captain option. So I do think he's good for 36. I've got Wolves as an orange fixture, kind of middle of the road, because statistically, the underlying stats, expected goals conceded, they're still doing quite well. They're not conceding a huge amount of goals, but that fixture wouldn't put me off buying Calvert-Lewin. The big one for me is Man City away. Now, I've already seen some people like they're going to get Calvert-Lewin in, then they're going to transfer him out in 38. That's absolutely fine if you've got the transfers to do that. Obviously, stuff could come up between now and the end of the season where you might need additional hits, but if that's the way you want to play it, absolutely fine. The key for me is there's other players that are slightly cheaper now that have got better fixtures. So Bamford and Antonio spring to mind. I talked about them yesterday on the watch list. I think Bamford is Burnley, Southampton and West Brom. I can't remember the order of the next two, but it's Burnley and then Southampton and West Brom. And then Antonio has Brighton and then Southampton and West Brom as well. So obviously one plays Southampton first, one plays them last. But I think they're better fixtures than Sheffield United, Wolves and Man City as a whole. So again, if you're buying Calvert-Lewin for this fixture and you're going to look to transfer him out either before Wolves or before Man City, then fair enough if you've got enough transfers to do that. But keep in mind, there's a quick turnaround for Game Week 37, then we're straight into 38. If there's any injuries or stuff that crop up, if you've got defensive transfers to make, midfield transfers, keep that in mind. If you already have him, brilliant. Sheffield United is a great fixture, and potentially, you know, you've got the squad, maybe 8 attackers where you could bench Calvert-Lewin in Game Week 38 as well. So I'm definitely not saying he's a bad purchase, because I did speak about him a couple of game weeks ago, and Sheffield United is a brilliant fixture. But I do think if you want someone to play week in, week out for the rest of the season, Antonio or Bamford could be better. Although, as a few people pointed out to me, he hasn't got the worst record against Man City. Will Man City rotate? I'm not convinced they will, because it's the last home game of the season for them, and surely they'll pick up the trophy there as well. So I think he's okay for Sheffield United, but I think there's better options for all 3 game weeks when you consider that as a whole. So we're only one of the 3 games Man United have in Game Week 35 through the game week so far. Again, by the time this goes out, there'll be a match tonight, but it hasn't been played since at the time of recording. And Fernandes may or may not get minutes in that one. Obviously, the key reason people are selling him is because he blanks in Game Week 36. So some people would have brought him in knowing they're going to sell him. Some people would have held knowing they're going to sell him. I don't think this is the worst transfer, right? I've not had Bruno Fernandes since Game Week 27. I've got no real plans to bring him back in. A lot is going to be made about fans being back in the stadium, right? And that's going to cheer teams on. They're going to play better. And look, maybe there is something in that. It's hard to measure, right? I'm sure some teams will have home fans and lose their games. I'm fairly convinced that 20 teams are not going to have 20 games. There's not going to be 20 games at home for all 20 of those teams by the end of the season. They're all going to win. But obviously, you'd expect Man United to beat Fulham anyway. So if you could get through Game Week 36 and manage without selling Bruno Fernandes, I think he is a good hold for Fulham at home. I don't think he's suddenly going to play miles better than he has before because there's fans in Old Trafford, but it's a good fixture anyway, and his stats are looking pretty good. 1.87 non-penalty XG, 2.07 expected assists. That's going to be right up there in terms of all players over the last 6. 10 shots in the box, 15 chances created. He's still doing really well, okay? And I feel a bit fortunate he didn't get more points when I transferred him out. So obviously, yeah, if you need him to sell him for 36, fine. And I think the thing with the Wolves away game, I don't know if Fernandes gets rested because he just basically never gets rested. He's only been benched once in the league this season, and he even came on for 45 minutes. But for Man United, the Europa League final is midweek. So that last fixture for Game Week 38 is on the Sunday, and then the midweek game for the Europa League final is on Wednesday. So I don't know if Ollie will risk it, especially with what's just happened with Maguire. Like, I'm having a quick look here. So Man United's game's on Tuesday. So they play Tuesday against Fulham, Sunday against Wolves. That's a big enough break there. And then Wednesday in the Europa League. So obviously Man United players are used to doing those, 3 games over the space of a week-ish. So he could play twice. And again, like I said for Calvert-Lewin, Wolves wouldn't really put me off buying a player, even if I don't think it's the greatest fixture. So I don't think Fernandes is a bad sell because of everything that's gone on. Right, the same thing for last week. Right, last week transfers were fully around getting players in for the double. Now they're fully around kind of getting out for the blank. But if you could keep him full at home, I think differential is probably pushing it, but a lot of people have sold and will be selling this week. So to have him at Fulham at home could be an option. Potential captaincy, like I'm looking at the other options here. You got Leeds versus Southampton, Liverpool against Burnley's pretty good, Spurs against Villa. So there are other captaincy options, even Man City against Brighton potentially. So there's other captaincy options, but Bruno Fernandes could be somewhat of an ish differential. But either way, if you're selling him, fine. But if you can keep him for Fulham, I think it's a good play. So Son has been transferred in quite heavily. I guess a lot of people are going from Fernandes to Son. Maybe they went the other way for Game Week 35. He's already had 43,000 transfers in. Now, his stats aren't bad. 15 chances created, 9 shots in the box. Expected data is okay over the last 6. Nothing special, but we know what he can do. He is someone that kind of overperforms. He's a great finisher. I don't know what to make about Son being transferred in. Again, you got those 2 orange fixtures, Wolves and Leicester, which, are okay. Leicester aren't particularly defending that great. I'm sure Spurs will score against Wolves. I don't think it'll be a heavy score, but, Son could be involved. And I own Son as well. So I don't really think that he's a bad purchase. So I'm not really looking at getting rid of him. Especially with that Game Week 37 fixture against Aston Villa, because I think that is a green fixture. I think that is good. Man United just put 3 past them. I think Spurs could do something similar. So I'm not really looking at getting rid of him. When I think about transferring him in, because I already own, I have done for a few weeks, I don't know. There's something about it that just doesn't feel quite right. Maybe it's just one of those, because it's safe and sensible, I feel like people could be doing something a bit more interesting at the end of the season. But at the end of the day, getting points is good, right? So being sensible is not a bad thing. So I don't think he is a bad buy. I do think if you're down the ranks and you're looking to maybe go a bit different, then you could go for Gareth Bale instead, who's got the same fixtures. You could go for a Man City midfielder, Mahrez, Foden, whoever it might be, and hopefully get 2 starts. Obviously, with Son, as long as he stays fit, you're going to get 3 starts. So straight away, that is a much better thing than relying on Mahrez and Foden to hopefully get 2 starts. So I'm not saying this isn't a sensible move, because I think it is. And if anyone was bringing him in, I'd be like, yeah, fair enough. Fixtures aren't bad. I've got him. Maybe I'll sell him in Game Week 38. I don't know yet. If Leicester are still playing as they have been, I probably won't. And by Game Week 38, there might be nothing riding on this game, right? The top 4 could be wrapped up for Leicester. Spurs will have no chance at top 4. And maybe it'll just be a kind of a basketball game. We've seen that before, actually, with Spurs and Leicester towards the end of the season, where it's like 4-3 or something like that. I'm not saying that will definitely happen again, but when there's nothing at stake and you've got attackers like Vardy, Iheanacho, Kane, Son, Bale, they might just go for it, right? So, yeah, I don't know if I've got anything more to add. I think it's an okay transfer in. I certainly wouldn't begrudge Fernandes to Son if that fits in with your transfer plans. I think Fernandes has got Fulham in 37, but Villa at home is a good move, is a good fixture as well for Son. I just think maybe if you're down the ranks, it could do something a bit different. Not that you want to go different for the sake of it, but worth thinking about. But yeah, an okay transfer, I guess. Who else is there? So 53,000 transfer for Watkins. I think people are probably very frustrated with him, right? Double game week, first game he gets sent off, so he's going to miss the second game, which is against Everton for Aston Villa. So not good for anyone that had him. I can see why people have done it, because like I said just a minute ago for Calvert-Lewin, there's obviously Calvert-Lewin, against Sheffield United. Bamford and Antonio both have good fixtures as well. Wilson's not an option because as I'm recording this, I've just seen that Wilson is ruled out for the rest of the season, so he's not an option anymore. But there is rumours that in the second game in Game Week 35, and again, you will have seen this by the time, you might have seen this by the time you watch it, the Grealish could start or get minutes. And if he gets minutes in the second Game Week 35 game, you'd think that he would start in Game Week 36. And Crystal Palace is still a fixture that I would target. So I don't necessarily think you have to get rid of Watkins this week, right? Sure, if you're going to Calvert-Lewin, then Sheffield United at home and Wolves at home, or I think it's Wolves away, is a slightly better fixture. I'm not kind of denying that. And Spurs away and Chelsea at home, I probably would look to ship Watkins anyway. So if you're going to do it anyway, you could just bring in a player that's got as good a fixture this week. But it doesn't really get much better than Crystal Palace away. Okay, Sheffield United at home is good. Burnley away is good for Bamford. But it's not a transfer you need to make. So if there was something else that you had in your team that you wanted to do, like in midfield, defence, or whatever it might be, you could make that transfer first and then get rid of Watkins in Game Week 37. For me, a lot of it comes down to whether Grealish is back. If he's back, I would be strongly tempted to keep Watkins. If he's not, I'd still be slightly tempted, but maybe less so. But yeah, Crystal Palace is a good fixture. He's not going to miss that. It's Game Week 35 that he misses because of the two yellows. But Crystal Palace away is just a good fixture. His stats are always good. 2.15 expected goals. Still doing that without Grealish in the team. 11 shots in the box. I don't think he has to be rushed out. I think if you've got more priority transfer, then just leave Watkins in, at least for one more week, then think about getting rid of him. So Iheanacho, super popular ahead of Game Week 35 and obviously in the preceding weeks as well, because he's just been doing so good. Like, look at those numbers. Again, very similar to like Bruno Fernandes for expected goals and expected assists combined. 14 shots in the box. He's just been brilliant, right? And there's nothing to say that he can't continue doing that for Chelsea and maybe more so Spurs. But when you have a blank in Chelsea away, right, that is time to get rid. As good as he's been, you have to start thinking about offloading. Now, for some teams, maybe you can bench him. Like for mine, I've got Vardy and Iheanacho, so I'm probably going to sell Vardy because it gives me more money, and obviously he's got the same fixtures, and I'll probably bench Iheanacho, and I may keep him for the rest of the season on the bench. So you don't have to look at a player and think, right, he's got a blank, then he's got Chelsea, I have to get rid. Perhaps you've got the squad, like 5 midfielders and 2 other strikers to bench him, but other than that, there really isn't much to say on this. I think he's a perfectly good sell. We've ridden out the good fixtures. We've ridden out the good performances. He's not playing in 36. Chelsea away are one of the best defences in the league. I think Leicester will struggle to get goals there. Spurs at home could be good, but it could be good. Is that enough? Like I'll just go and check the transfers for the fixtures for the last day because I couldn't remember earlier on who Leeds and West Ham were playing. So yeah, Leeds are playing West Brom on the last day. That's their last home game, I think, as well. And West Ham are playing Southampton at home on the last day too. So both better fixtures than Spurs at home. Both got better fixtures in 37. Iheanacho is a great sell. Antonio Bamford should be top of your list. And that's it. Job done for Iheanacho. Thanks for the goals, but you're done for the season, I think. So there we go, that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching as always. Please do give it a like and hit that subscribe button if you are new around here. Plenty more content to come from the rest of the season. I know the Euro 2020 fantasy game is out. I have created a league. I might think about putting that in the description of some of the videos later on in the week when I've figured it out. But I have a league. I've put it up on Twitter. I probably will be making some content around there. I don't know how soon it will be before the end of the season because obviously FPL is still so important until May 23rd. But certainly after that, we'll do some content. Maybe not every day, but we'll do a little bit around it. I'll try and do some research on the best players. Obviously, just get Harry Kane, Harry Maguire when he's fit. And I don't know, Jadon Sancho. There you go. There's 3 picks for your Euro 2020 team. In no way am I biased by picking 3 England players. And no way am I saying it's coming home. Even though it will come home, but obviously it's not necessarily coming home. I'll leave it there before I just make everyone really annoyed. Lastly, patreon.com/letstalkfpl if you want to sign up for that. Thank you to everybody that already has. Much appreciated as always. I'll leave the video there. Euro 2020 content will come at some point, maybe at the end of the season, maybe a little bit before. There will be a massive amount of England bias, maybe even more so the Man United bias that some of you think I have. Even though I think I've done quite well this season, we're not going too mad on Man United. Anyway, I'm rambling. Good luck with your transfers. Try and hold them till Friday as always. I'll be back with plenty more content this week. Give it a like, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you soon.